Rebecca with the Nocturnal. How are you?
Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, my first question for you is what about Stuart Long's story made you want to produce the film?
I just found it so inspiring. And I thought that, for me, as a man of faith, to kind of find a unique way that I think I would be most effective in making a movie that would utilize my talents to do God's work.
Okay, okay. And since the movie is based on a true story, were there any elements or moments that you had to add or change during the creation process?
Yeah, we took some creative liberties. I mean, it's obviously very difficult when you're talking about a story that spans decades to condense it into a 2-hour film. But for the most part, I mean, this is Stu and his family. I think, I didn't have the luxury of obviously meeting Stu, but spent lots of time with his family, friends, fellow priests, parishioners of his. So yeah, we just, just condensing it and kind of putting in the most important bits and taking out the things that, I mean, if I remember the first time we screened the movie and it was an editor's assembly and it was like 3 hours and 15 minutes and people were like, we have to shoot more. This has to be a mini series. And I was like, no, we're going to kind of edit it and figure it out. It's a film that needs to be seen in the theaters, but all remarkable stuff. I could have watched the entire editor's assembly many times over.
All right. And one of my favorite lines from the film that really stuck with me, where your character was approached by a stranger at the bar, and they basically said, "I'm just going to give you a gut full of reasons to be angry. You only need one to be grateful." So, off the top of your head right now, is there a line from the movie that stuck with you even after the production wrapped up?
Oh, many, many, many. There are so many quotable lines from the movie, but I think when Stu is really trying to communicate his his being worthy of being in the seminary and the priesthood with the Monsignor when he's talking about some of the most remarkable figures in the history of church in the Church of Reformed Men, which is true. God came to save the sinners, not the righteous. And some of the God's greatest warriors were people who had lots of struggles. And you could see that when Stu's doing his work and how effective it is when people are going through similar struggles, because he's been there and he has that truth and authenticity that just rings so clear, and people identify that right away. And that's why they gravitated towards him.
And the movie talks a lot about forgiveness and second chances.
Mhm.
So, can you think of a time in life where you were presented with a second chance opportunity and it worked out for the better?
Oh my gosh, I've been given second, third chances, and you know, um, God wanted to make sure that I was sincere. It's when you're in trouble and you get on your hands and your knees and say, God, please. But he wants to know your heart. And when he knows your heart, he's going to, not only is he going to help you, but he is going to take control of you and utilize you for his greater good and what he wants you to do. And that's why this movie came to me. And I said, okay, I'm going to get it made, even if it means financing it myself.
And from Stuart Long's entire story, is there any specific lesson that you learned while creating the project?
Oh, many, many valuable lessons. I had, God, it's such a unique experience. I mean, I lost my mom during the making of the movie. Everybody was going through, we're in the middle of a pandemic, and there was so much uncertainty in the world. But to not let my faith be rattled, even though it was at times, but it just got reaffirmed, and I got all the confirmation that I needed that I was on the right path. But yeah, and seeing the good in everybody, and just having a positive attitude. But when Stu found his calling, it was pretty remarkable to see how committed he was, and to try to match that commitment and be challenged by him. Even to this day, he challenges me to do better.
Right. And I'm so sorry for your loss.
Oh, thank you. God bless you. I appreciate that.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you.
All right, take care.
I'm very good, and you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, my first question is so, the movie is based on a true story about Stuart Long. So, the way that you had to go about your role, it wasn't as preparing as a fictitious character, but you were playing a specific character that is in Stuart's life. So,
Mhm.
how did you prepare for the role or you approach the role differently?
Well, there wasn't a lot of information about her. I knew that she existed, but we couldn't really track her down. So I I was based off of a voicemail that I heard that Stuart said I had this, Stuart Long, the real one, said I had this beautiful girlfriend. She was Spanish, and I loved her. I didn't want to leave her. It was really hard for me. That's really all I had of the real life, uh, real life information. And then the rest was just the script and my imagination, then also what I've seen in my community as a Mexican American. I think we're very kind and generous people like Carmen. So I wanted to bring a lot of that to my character and then kind of share it in this film.
So you feel like you related a lot to Carmen. I know you said that you didn't have much to work off of, but you know, you took aspects of yourself and put it into her.
Yeah, of course, for
Oh,
sure.
of course. All right. And so what was it like working with Mark, Mel Gibson, and Jackie? And what was a typical day like on set?
Um, Very long day. We would do very long days because we had a short schedule. We had a 30-day schedule. So we went every day very long, but it was a really a blast because everyone was very happy to be on set. I think when I joined the film, Mark called me and told me this was one of the most important film of his career, and he wanted to make sure I really wanted to be in it because he only wanted really passionate people to be in the set. And so I knew that I was coming into a sort of family environment, and we shot with a lot of happiness, and we shot with a lot of commitment. So we were all very passionate. We're all very passionate about this film, especially as opposed to others that we have done. This one is very special.
So as soon as you received that call, did you just get an immense amount of pressure on you when he said, like, I'm really passionate about this project?
um, No, not that I got a lot of pressure. I just understood that it was important for him. So I understood that I needed to be there for him, and serve the movie to the best of my capacity. And, I think I flew out to LA a couple of days after, and we worked a lot. We did a lot of rehearsals. But none of it felt pressured or felt, like heavy or anything. I was just so happy and so joyful to be a part of it, because it was also one of the first films that was shot when we restarted the activities after the lockdown. So we were all very happy to have this story with such hope and such faith to tell after such hard times.
Right, right. And after learning everything that you've learned about Stuart Long, what are some lessons that you've taken from his story?
That I have taken.
Mhm.
Uh, I've always known that vocation is very important. For me, I know that there's like this whisper in your heart that tells you what you're in the world to do. And I'm happy that this movie really speaks about that. Because I feel like the more that people follow whatever that whispers in their heart, then the better this world will be, because we'll all be doing what we are here for, our talent, our true talent, right? So to me, that's what it was rooted more. That belief and that conviction was rooted more inside of my heart.
And you talking about that belief, it just feels very authentic. And I feel like that translated so well onto the film and with your character.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, I felt that when I was little and I wanted to be an actress. So I know that whisper. And I was lucky enough to be able to follow it and be supported on the way. And I hope that with this film, if somebody sees it and they're in the wrong profession, or they're in the wrong relationship or whatever, this film can inspire them to reroute and to make their life, in the path they wanted it to go.
Definitely. I agree 100%.
Right?
Thank you so much for talking with me today.
Thank you.
Hello, how are you, Rebecca?
I'm good. I'm good. So, my first question to you, right? So, your character in the movie exudes a lot of emotions in many scenes. So, what did you have to do to prepare for scenes that did require like those heavy emotions?
I think you have to focus really hard on how that person was feeling at the time, what's made them feel like that. You have to get yourself so immersed in what their life has been like to make them do this. Yeah, it's like any role. Sometimes it's easier to get into the emotional stuff. If the script is great, sometimes, and this script was really good. It wasn't difficult to imagine what it would have been like to be this woman.
And did you find your character to be relatable in any way? And if so, did it make it easier to embody that character?
Well, a big part of the character for me was that she loved her son. I have a son and grandkids, and I adore them, and so I was able to identify on that level, even though I'm not like the character of Stu's mom in real life at all. But I can imagine strongly what it must have been like for her. She's had a really rough life. She's lost one boy. She's still in love with the husband who has left her because he was a no-hope alcoholic. She's scared she'll lose the other boy and that he might end up like his dad, because he's tried boxing, he's tried acting, he can't seem to get a grip on what he wants to do. And so she's a bit cynical and she's a bit sarcastic, but the one thing that remains constant is she loves that boy with all her heart and she wants him to be happy. And so when he does the most extraordinary thing she can imagine, says he wants to be a priest, she thinks, what? But she's still, she loves him and supports him. And I think this story is about love more than religion. It's about hope and finding something positive and uplifting, even when your life has been horrible.
Right. And after learning everything that you've learned about Stuart Long, what lessons did you learn, or what did his story teach you?
Well, I think hope. I think the story of Father Stu is about hope and how something good can come out of anywhere, really. How the end of his life, he helped so many other people. He turned out to be such a force for good, even though he'd had a rough start, and his parents, they wanted to be good parents, but they were. I think the mum was a good parent. I think loving him, and then the father turns out to be a fabulous parent in the end. He was looking after him.
Yeah, I think those elements of forgiveness and second chances really, his relationship with the parents really translated that, that conversation, and the actions showed way more than what people thought it was.
Yeah, I'm glad you think that. I agree. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It was lovely speaking with you.
You too. All the best.